to kick this thing off. Let's go.
Oh, let's crack
let's
it.
go.
Yeah, I got the hazelnut.
I thought to myself, like, we're talking about cults tonight, right? So let's start with like the kind of classic cult, the thing everybody thinks of when they think of like cults, and that's and the reason I chose it is because it's Jim Jones, and obviously the Jonestown Massacre is eventually how it ends. It's the People's Temple is the name of the actual organization, and it started out with the best of intentions because Jim Jones, whose middle name is Warren, which is why I'm going to kick this in as narcissistic a fashion as I possibly can. Oh, I love his cult. His middle name's Warren. He had the best of intentions with this cult. He really did. He was trying to get people together to live in a kind of altruistic, sort of socialist, multiracial, kind of utopia. He started generating this cult because he was into a multiracial society, and he wanted people, and this is at the height of kind of oppression and all these kind of laws in America, and he was coming out with this really lovely like organization that was very positive, and ultimately it ends in the jungles of Guyana. Jeez. With 900 people committing mass suicide.
Good bloody grief! Was it 900?
900 people, yeah. And until 9/11, it was the largest instance of deaths of American civilians in a non-natural event, like ever. So it was the largest instance until 9/11.
Good.
So, yeah.
Grief, man.
So yeah, and I mean, Okay, so here's my fact. What many people don't know is that it wasn't just 900 Americans who died in that jungle. It was 900 Americans and one chimpanzee.
Oh, no.
And the chimpanzee's name was Mr. Muggs.
Oh, no.
That's my fact. Mr. Muggs was part of the suicide cult.
Oh, that's terrible.
Mr. Muggs, the chimpanzee.
I hope you started with a lie. I don't know anything about, the Jim Jones massacre. When it comes to cults that end badly, I did watch a movie years ago on Waco and that sort of thing.
Because a surprisingly large number of cults end pretty terribly, there's reasons for that, right? Because if you think about it, where else can they go? If nobody's got a job, you're running out of money. Eventually your prophecies and your godhood is going to become questioned as people start starving to death in the commune.
Yeah.
People are going to start rebelling, and then what? Then you have to have the grand finale.
Yeah. Later in the podcast, or at some point, I also will talk about cult, the word and how it's changed and what it means. Because there's that word pejorative. It is a pejorative.
Yeah.
But it also has, the word culture comes from cult, and just because people do a certain thing, then they're starting to develop a culture. And when does it become a cult? So,
right.
But that's jolly interesting. But I mean, if you think about,
but what we really want to know, what the people really want to know, Ryan, is: do you believe that the Jonestown Massacre was 900 Americans and a chimpanzee? That 900 Americans and a chimpanzee suicided themselves in a jungle?
No, I can't bear that it's true. So I'm gonna hope you started with a lie, and I hope they didn't take out that chimpanzee with them. No, I'm gonna say it's a lie. No chimp.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Mr. Muggs was Jim Jones's personal pet, and this is the bit where the story actually gets unbelievable.
How did they all die?
So
I don't know much. I don't know anything about.
Right. So all right. I mean, the Jim Jones cult, the People's Temple. They died they took the Kool-Aid. That's where the saying comes from. They all drank poisoned like Kool-Aid. And that's how they killed themselves.
So was this in the 60s or 70s when they were doing the Kool-Aid parties in America?
No. Well, so what happened is, okay, all right, let me just kind of...
Did they know it was Kool-Aid?
Yeah, they knew it was poison
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. They knew it was. Yeah, it
Grief,
was intentional suicide. Yeah, what happened is, so they were... They started out in Indianapolis, and then they moved from Indianapolis to California to become more popular. And they became more popular in California, and they got enormous in California. And then the IRS started sniffing around, and Jim Jones himself was caught masturbating in front of an undercover police officer in a porn theater. And so he was like, "Oh, stuff this. We're gonna take the whole cult and we're gonna move somewhere where the IRS can't touch us." And he moved them out of the country.
Like I
to
touched myself in that theater.
That's right. That's right. He's gonna move his whole cult to the jungles of Guyana, which is by Venezuela there
Yes.
in South America. So he moved the whole cult there, and then there was these reports that now people weren't allowed to come back to America. People who wanted to come back to America weren't being allowed to. So this started leaking back to parents and family in America, and then a congressman by the name of Leo Ryan went and did a visit to go and visit the temple and see that everything was okay, on behalf of his constituents. And he showed up, and there was a skirmish as he was leaving, and he was shot dead. And just after he was shot dead came the order that this is it. This is the end. We're all going to take this suicide thing. We're going out. This temple is no longer functional now. Everything's fallen apart. This is the only way out. And so that phrase, you drank the Kool-Aid. You really believe in something. You're really passionate about something. That phrase, you drank the Kool-Aid, comes from, you were willing to drink the Kool-Aid. You were willing to kill yourself. So it's got a really dark kind of history, that. But so back to Mr. Muggs, the chimpanzee. He was Jim Jones's personal pet, and by all accounts, he did things, like tricks, and he would look after Jim Jones, and he'd kind of protect him. And Jim Jones always claimed that he'd kind of rescued Mr. Muggs from a bad home and a bad situation. But historians now believe that he actually just bought Mr. Muggs from like a pet store because, and this is the crazy bit, when Jim Jones was just starting the temple out in order to make money to fund the temple, he worked as a door-to-door monkey salesman.
Good.
Like that's a job. Like door-to-door monkeys. He genuinely did.
Do you think he fed the monkey Kool-Aid?
So no, he shot the monkey.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Is that worse than feeding it poison?
Gee, there's a Sophie's choice. If ever
Sorry,
there was one.
I don't think we should call it a monkey. It's a primate. Chimpanzee is primate. It's not a monkey. Anyway, but
I can't believe he shot Mr. Muggs.
Yeah, I shot Mr. Muggs. Cold, brutal. What a sad end.
He could have opened the door and said, "There's the jungles of Guyana, Mr. Muggs."
But he could have done that to his 900 followers as well, right? And let's just say that at this point, he's not exactly in his right mind. This old Jimmy Warren Jones.
Oh, how horrible! And so, but like, was this whole thing a Christian cult, like the Lord and all that stuff?
No, it was a as I say, it was more socialist. He always wanted to move to communist countries.
Oh.
But he regretted that he couldn't move the cult to China or to Russia. Stalin and these guys were his heroes. So he regretted that he couldn't move to a communist country. And of course, communist countries are atheist. They don't believe in having a
Oh, yeah.
So no, but it was this idyllic kind of multiracial utopia that he was trying to build, and in the end, it all just turned into death in the jungle,
Oh man, shame, Mr. Muggs. What a sad fact to open up thing with. I'm gonna pick us up.
You were just like 900 Americans. That's fine. Nobody cares. One chimpanzee. We're heartbroken.